Hey, book friends, it's Rosanne Parry. I'm talking to you from my backyard in Portland, Oregon today, and I am the author of A Wolf Called Wander and the forthcoming book, A Whale of the Wild. So, I wanted to talk to you just a little bit about my book today, since we're all home from school in these crazy epidemic times. So, why did I choose A Wolf Called Wander as a story? It's based on an actual story of a real wolf that lived in Oregon. Back in 2011, there was a wolf called OR7, and that means he was the seventh wolf in Oregon to wear a radio collar. And he lived in the northeastern corner of Oregon in the Wallowa Mountains. And when he was 2 years old, which is grown up for a wolf, he left his pack. And usually when a wolf leaves his pack, it happens pretty often. I would say about half of wolves leave their pack and join another one. But usually they run 20 miles or maybe 30 and they go join the pack next door. But this wolf, OR7, was different. He left his pack and he kept going and going and going. He ran 1,000 miles in a month. He ran from the northeastern corner of Oregon all the way through the high desert and the corner of the Great Basin and all the way to the southwestern corner of Oregon, the Siskiyou Mountains. And he traveled around the Siskiyous for some time, and while he was there, he found another wolf in a place nobody had seen a wolf in 95, maybe 100 years. So everybody was amazed that he was able to find a wolf in this place where nobody had seen a wolf in so long. And these two wolves got together, and a year later they had a litter of 3 pups, and they have had a litter of pups every year since. The offspring of those pups have founded the first packs in Northern California in more than 100 years. And it was such a good story, such an awesome story of resilience that I knew I wanted to write about it. I didn't really know when I started if the story would work out, but I thought, well, I'll just give it a try and see if I can write a story completely from the point of view of a wolf and have that really work. So that was my experiment that became A Wolf Called Wander. One of the reasons that I love that story so much is that wolves are pack animals just like humans. They need each other very much. They live with their packs for most of their lives. They might leave the pack they were born in and join another, but they live in a pack structure their whole lives long, and they depend on their pack. And here's one of the reasons why. So here is my little wolf friend. And one of the main things that they hunt is elk, an animal much bigger than them, right? The only way that a wolf is able to hunt an elk, an animal this big and, armed with sharp pointy things on the top end there, the only way that they can hunt an animal so much bigger than them is to hunt cooperatively. So they hunt in packs. They travel in packs. Usually the alpha male, the father of the pack, leads the hunt. Usually the alpha female decides where that pack will travel and where their game can be found. And so I love that about wolves, that they need their fellow pack members just like we need our own families. So that's why I wrote the story. And also, as you might guess from my location, I wrote the story because I love to be outside. This is my summer office. It's in a treehouse in my backyard. So do you want to take a look around at where I work in the summertime? Here we go. This will be a little dizzy maybe, okay? But here is my desk. Can we see it? Oh, there we go. That's my desk where I work in my treehouse. I just have a plain old rolling office chair right there. And then behind me is the escape hatch from my treehouse. Technically it's a slide, but honestly it's a little bit not big enough of a slide for a treehouse this tall. So it's more of a plummet than a slide. So I don't usually go down there. Sometimes when I'm trying to get up, I come up this ladder, which is like a ship's ladder. And sometimes when I'm climbing up into my treehouse, I just climb up the tree right here on those branches If I need a fast escape, this can be tricky to see, but for fast escapes, can you see that I have a zip line? My zip line is right out the side of my treehouse here. And then my favorite way to get into my treehouse is my rock wall. So that's the fun way to get into my treehouse. And right over there is where I go and take a break and have a recess when I need a break from my writing. And this is what it looks like outside of my treehouse. I have neighbors over here, and mostly blackberry vines over here, and a big walnut tree over here. My house is the red house, and I have lots of trees all around me, including this big Douglas fir tree that my treehouse is in. You can tell it's a Douglas fir tree because it has this big knobbly bark that has really thick grooves in it. And so that's my summer workplace. As you can see, it doesn't really work for the winter time, but I start working out here in the spring, and I work out here all summer long and into maybe the middle of fall because it's pretty mild here in Oregon. So this isn't really a question and answer kind of situation, but one of the questions that kids ask me all the time is, what can I do to help wolves, and what can I do to help wildlife in general be safer and have good lives? So I have 5 things in mind that you could think about doing. And the first one, and I really do think it's the most important for young people, and that is just to learn as much as you can about the animals that you care about. Because here's the thing, if we're going to make changes, we need information to base those changes on. And so the more we know, the better. If you are looking for general information about the animals of the world, National Geographic has a great site for kids at kids.nationalgeographic.com. I bet we can maybe put that information in maybe the doobly-doo below this, or in some other way it can be written down for you. But National Geographic has a kids site that's very helpful. If you are especially looking about information for Oregon animals specifically, A Wolf Called Wander is set in Oregon. And so information about Oregon forests and the animals that live there can be found at oregonforests.org/K12-programs. Again, hopefully that information will be written down for you somewhere. But that can help a lot, because wolves have it's always the big bad wolf in the story, and so they don't always have a good reputation. And but the truth is, wolves have never hunted people ever, not ever. And bears, on the other hand, are quite dangerous. You should keep your distance from bears. But wolves are not dangerous to people, and they do lots of good things for our environment. So learning about them and helping others understand them can be a big help. The second thing, besides telling people the good things that wolves do, the third thing is just doing what you can to fight global warming. Global warming is a threat to every animal in the world, including us human animals. And so you can use less electricity at home is a good way to fight global warming. Turn things off when you're not using them. Turn off the lights when you're not in the room. Turn off equipment that you're not using. And try every single day to play a game that uses just the power of your own body and your own brain. The fourth thing you can do is reduce pollution as much as you can. Reducing pollution fights global warming. Use something a bunch of times before you throw it away. For example, this is my water bottle that I have. It's metal, and I take it everywhere I go because I can reuse it over and over again, and this will last me for 20 or 30 or maybe even 40 or 50 years. So so taking something like that that's reusable can be really helpful. And then recycle everything you can. I'm very fortunate in Oregon, is a very progressive state when it comes to recycling, so we have curbside recycling. But that can be a research project, is figuring out where the recycling happens in your community and helping your family recycle. And the fifth thing you can do, and this is really fun, especially because it's springtime, planting trees or any green plant at all is really, really good for the earth. Plants make oxygen, the very thing we need to breathe. And plants absorb carbon, the very thing that's causing global warming. So any plant that you can plant, even if you just have a windowsill or a little balcony on your apartment, any plant will create oxygen for the world, and that will help a lot. And I'm just going to close by saying that these are tricky times, challenging times, and they can be lonely and frustrating. I feel super lucky that I work at a bookstore where we can help people find books that help them pass the time. And if you would like to get a letter to have something to do in the next days and weeks for all of March and April in 2020, I will be answering kids' letters sent to my bookstore, Annie Bloom's. And if you write me, I will sign a book plate. Look how beautiful they are. They have the art from A Wolf Called Wander in them. I'll sign a book plate for you, and I will send it to you in the mail, and hopefully with a joke or something cheerful to send along with you. It's Annie Bloom's Bookstore at 7834 Southwest Capitol Highway, Portland, Oregon, 97219. Hopefully that will be written down somewhere. But in the meanwhile, friends, if you're missing your schoolmates, I would remind you that one of our finest presidents spent most of his education just reading books in his own home. And he learned a lot from them. So I hope you read my books. I hope you read everybody's books. I think we're going to get through these difficult times just fine. It's been lovely talking to you. Take good care. Bye-bye.